Okay, this is week 5. I'm going to give you a lecture this week on some layers in the drawing. I also want to mention in the textbook that we're going to kind of bypass, let me just get to the right page. Chapter 4 is basics of dimensional editing. And modifications. We've kind of gone through a lot of these things already, so we're going to kind of skip over that one for the time being. Chapter 5 is on layers, and we're going to talk about that today in this lecture. Our lab work this week is going to actually move to Chapter 10. And Chapter 10 covers some information on, let me get the right tablet here. It's land survey information, which is a little more pertinent to the civil engineering. So Chapter 5 was layers. Chapter 6 is on blocks. We've already done some blocks with our title block and whatnot, including annotative blocks. So that kind of goes through that portion of it. We kind of skipped up there. Chapter 7, layout and template files. Again, we've done some of those with our template file that we've created, and we'll explore that a little further, but really want to try to get into some civil applications. So if we skip through those, we can always go back if we need to reference anything a little later on. So we're going to move to Chapter 10 for our labs this week. Hopefully no snow coming up. In the meantime, I brought up this drawing, which I didn't do it, but I thought it was a good example of how layers can be used in a corporate situation or an engineering firm. And what we see here is a model of a floor plan. You can see I'm in the model tool down here. This one's called 8th floor, so we have an architectural floor plan. I'm just going to double click my mouse, and I want you to take a look at the same floor plan, and we'll zoom in so you can see some things. So we can see some furniture. There's a chair and a desk. These things in purple are ceiling diffusers. We have some electrical information, some junction boxes, light fixtures, plumbing. If we can find a bathroom here somewhere, we'll see some plumbing. I'm not sure where's the bathroom. Hard to even see, right? There's the stairwell. This looks like a bathroom right here. There's the sinks. You can see the sinks are here. So we've got some outlets. This is a symbol for an outlet. It shows up kind of chunky here, so I'm going to go to my drawing utilities. Actually, I can just right click here and say options. And I want you to kind of watch this drafting and display. So you can see this J here is kind of off, kind of octagonal. So I'm going to change my arc and see if this fixes it. If I change that to 2000 and hit OK, now you can see my circles a little better. So it's a little clearer. You can see a piece of ductwork coming in here, flexible ductwork that's going to an overhead unit. If you actually had to sit here and read this information, it would be kind of confusing. So let's break it down. And what this is actually a bunch of drawings that are all compiled together as XREFS. If I actually open up one of these drawings, I'm just going to say File Open. It should take me to the same folder. There's my 8th floor power plan. So I just open that up, and I can see now that if I look at the model, there's my 8th floor power plan. You can see it's got a ceiling grid on it. I'm not sure why that's showing up on this one, but here's our electrical outlets and phone data jacks and the connections, where they're connected to. So in any event, this is a lot easier to read. So we've got floor jacks, we've got wall outlets here. This is a symbol for a duplex 110 volt wall outlet. The J with a circle is a junction box. These would all be connected with conduit. Again, network jack would be this symbol. This cross may be for like a dedicated circuit. They give you some breaker locations here. I believe that's what that is. So we can see now that it's a lot easier to read this just as a file with just the electrical turned on. So if I close out of this, didn't make any changes, and come back here, and I can look now at just the 8th floor plan on a sheet file. So there's just our 8th floor plan. You can see they've made a viewport that is just this outline of the outside of the building paralleled. If we want to see our furniture plan, we can see it here. And we talk about XREFS. Let me go back to my model for a second, because these are all XREFS. If I type in the command XREF, you can see that these individual drawings are all separate drawing files that are compiled into this one location. I'm not sure what this needs reloading. Reload. There we go. So we've got actually basically an empty drawing file that has these reference files that are attached. So if I select this one for the office furniture, actually let's select everything but, see if I can select more than one. Yep. And right click and say unload. You'll notice the only thing left now is my furniture. So in MicroStation, we just call these reference files. If I want to unload this one, I can just say unload that. And I got a blank screen. There's nothing there. But now I can reload it. My furniture comes back. My HVAC work comes back. My lighting will come back in. My floor plan, I can reload. Plumbing and power. So how did these get here? Well, let's load up one of our files. Let's attach a DWG file to this drawing. And there's my exercise 1. Let's just put my title block on here. And we'll try exercise 1. It's got a photograph, so we'll see what happens. We'll say open. And it says, okay, you want to bring this in, you want to place it. I'm going to specify on the screen. I'm just going to say okay. So I come over here and I'm just going to left click, stretch it out. Okay, so I stopped the tape there for a minute so I could figure this out. It seems to be working now. I just had to reset it. So we've got our XREFs over here. I'm going to attach this now. Hopefully it works. I'm just going to grab this drawing, one of the homework drawings we've done, say open it. I'm going to specify on screen. This is coming in. I think I can do it as an attachment. Hit OK. Just left click. And I can scale it up or down. In this case, I just want to X scale. I'll put in 4. Y scale 4. There it is. So there's our drawing that we did this week. It's laying on this map. It's 4 times the actual size of whatever it happens to be. So, and you can see over here, we've got a couple of instances. There's my exercise 1 homework loaded onto the screen. If I want to just make it invisible, I could just, unload it, and it will take it off. So it disappears, or I can load it back up. So all this is doing is referencing or bringing other drawings in as images that can only be manipulated in their own drawing form. So let's take a look at this a little closer now. Let me unload this so you can just see how those are brought in, and we'll detach it so they disappear. And we'll actually explore what's in these drawings at the same time. Let's start with our 8th floor plan sheet file. And here it is on E-size sheet. So we can see our basic floor plan, easy to read. We got stairwells, we got bathrooms, we got toilet petitions, we've got office petitions over here. Our door swings are shown, and it's pretty basic. If we look at our furniture plan now, we can see all our interior office furniture. Kind of gives us a better idea of how the office is going to be laid out. This looks like some kind of filing or library system for this office. Some kind of a break room or cafeteria type room where they can hang out. And here's our probably executive offices over in this corner. We've got a classroom here, or a lecture room, a large conference room. So it's laid out pretty well. Now we need to look at some of the other aspects of the drawing. You see on the outside these lines with numbers and lines with letters on them. These are column locations. So just like using an XY grid system, you would use these to identify locations on the drawing. So if I was looking at a column or an area that would intersect column 13E, if I follow E all the way down to where it would intersect 13 coming in this direction, we'd say it's in a corner approximately where 13 and E column would be located. So all of these have locations that a tradesperson can call up and tell you that over near column 13B there's an issue with some wiring or some plumbing or something like that. So these are kind of identifiers on the outside of the building. Let's look at our HVAC plan now, and it makes it a little more easy to read. And what we have here are supplies and return. This one here is probably easiest to use. So what these are pieces of ductwork coming from unit ventilators on the roof probably, or unit heaters. We can see that these have a manifold that has individual outputs to ceiling supply diffusers. These are the square ceiling diffusers. You can see they're at a 45-degree angle, meaning that gets back to that ceiling layout at 45 degrees. It tells us this is an 18-inch by 12-inch piece of duct, and we've got these outlets coming off the duct that has a damper. This little L shape indicates that there's a damper so that it can have the airflow adjusted up or down inside those ducts. This is a column in the building. This is the amount of air, 200K, I assume is, we usually use PSI or the volume per minute, whatever it happens to be. So if it's got a cross in it, it's a supply. If it has just a single slash, this is a return diffuser. So it's every time we supply air to a building, we also need to return it. So these return air ducts would go up into the ceiling and allow the air to be balanced. Here we have a very large piece of duct running around here that is, trying to see what the size would be on that. Whoops. I'm sure it says maybe at the beginning with this elbow. We know that this is a 12 by 16. Somewhere it would probably show a cross section of this duct, but I don't see anything right off that tells me exactly what the size of this large piece of ductwork is, or this one. So I'd probably send that back. But off of these large pieces of duct, we've got these large mechanical shafts that allow air to come in and out of the building, either from the roof or from outside. And we can see how these branch off. So this is going to take a branch of air coming out into this office space, a couple diffusers, and there would be these outside ceiling diffusers that would blow warm air down over the ceiling and get circulated throughout the room. Again, these returns would pick up that air and balance it out and take it take it away. So things like this little elbow, these are baffles inside the ductwork to prevent it from making a lot of noise as the air's moving through here. If it needs to make a sharp 90-degree corner, it would whistle or it would make some noise if we didn't have some kind of baffling function in here. So this is just a little bit of all of the controls. This TS is the thermostat. So this would be a thermostat controlling the temperature. It goes down into these actuator boxes that allows the air to be flowing in or out. Here's another thermostat here. So all of these symbols mean something. There's a return air duct, and these all, usually if it's crosshatch, means it's going up to the roof area or it's being picked up somewhere else. So a lot of this stuff is fairly unique, but it's also fairly consistent all the way through the drawing. So once you kind of identify what one object is on the drawing, you can identify a lot of the other information. Down here it's labeled as an Hvac plan. And if we look here at the mechanical detail notes, for instance, it says mechanical contractor shall verify that fire and smoke dampers exist at the supply and return air duct shaft penetrations. Those are basically inside the ductwork. Anytime they penetrate a firewall, in other words, a wall that is designed to protect the building, it has a link on it that's connected to the fire alarm system. So should the fire alarm get tripped, those dampers would automatically close and prevent fire, heat, and hopefully smoke from getting from one part of the building to another. New 24-inch by 24-inch return air grill type D, typical all the way around. So this is obviously some kind of a renovation project where some of this is being renovated. We've got some temperature control notes. It says EMS. Contractor shall provide Hawkeye 8025 electric meter compatible with DDC system. Energy management system is EMS. DDC, not sure exactly what that is. We'd have to look it up. And what they want to do is make sure that they can get the kilowatts per hour monthly, the software, and to calculate usage. So obviously this is a project that needs to be able to report on energy cost savings. It's likely something that may have a grant or some kind of federal funding, meaning that they need to prove that they're saving the money that they're actually claiming to be able to save on something like this. So you're going to see these types of notes all over the drawings. And they're things that once you see them, here's CFM is cubic feet per minute, or that's the air supply. Anything from 0 to 125 cubic feet per minute is going to have a 6-inch diameter diffuser, neck size. If we want 126 to 225 cubic feet range, we need an 8-inch diameter. And what would happen if we put too small a diameter duct in here for the air handling, it would start to whistle. So the size of these ducts have a lot to do with how much they allow the air to move without creating a lot of noise. So it's trying to loosen up the whistle, I guess is what you would call it. Let me just turn that off and I can close it and take this out. That's that old. Okay, so that's our HVAC, just a real quick view of what that looks like on the floor plan. Let's look at our lighting plan. And here we can see again, I'm not sure why they don't show the suspended ceiling, but we do have a, I think it shows in the furniture plan. I thought one of these showed the suspended ceiling. Let me just see if we can turn it on. In our home screen, we're going to look at our layer properties. We'll look at our XREF. There's our lighting plan. And let's go down through and see, is there anything in here that has the ceiling layout? And don't see anything, so maybe it's on the floor plan. I know we saw one somewhere. There's ceiling right here. Look at that, it's frozen. Let's take it out of freezing And although it makes it a little harder to read, now we can see our suspended ceiling. These are 2x2 ceiling tiles in the ceiling. So we can say, okay, there's our ceiling. Any place that doesn't show this would have a sheetrock. Now this is an internal stairwell, so any of these walls around here are firewalls. They need to be protected because they provide egress in and out of the building. There's our mechanical chaseway. All of our electrical material is shown here. Let's turn that layer off with the floor plan. So we want to go to our floor plan and freeze that ceiling right here so it disappears. And now we can look at our light fixtures. These are, and we'll just concentrate on one area here because I want to take it all the way back and see if we have. You'll notice I don't see any wall switches. They may show up on the power plan, so I'm not really sure. These are 2x2 fluorescent light fixtures. We have an A1 and a V. There's a junction box. Some of these may be controlled by motion sensors or heat sensors, or they could be wall switches. We'll see if it shows up on the power plan. And let's look at our notes down here now. So before we do that, let's look. These are linear light fixtures. They're probably straight, either fluorescent or LEDs or some other type of fixture. But for the most part, what we're looking at are 2x2 fixtures. We've got T's and A1s. Let's try to figure out what those are. Here's our Luminaire schedule. An A type is a 32T8, which would be a fluorescent. Quantity of 2, it's a 2x2, 2-lamp fluorescent grid, 3-inch low IRID parabolic reflector, 9-cell electronic ballast. It's recessed in the ceiling, requires 68 watts. We have a manufacturer of Columbia, P442, and I don't know. Let's try something real funky here. I don't know whether this will work or not, but I'm going to go into my engineering or my internet and just want to see if I can edit this. I know I can. And that was Columbia, so let's just go see if we can find out what that looks like. Well, we've got one here. This looks like a comparison chart. Oshram, Sylvania. Don't really want that. Let's just see if we got anything else out here. There's some Columbia light fixtures. There's a P442 on for sale on eBay. That looks kind of like the light fixture. So you see these metal grids in here. That's the parabolic function of them that allows the light to diffuse a little bit better. Well, this one's the same thing. But you can generally find information on whatever's being specified on the drawings by just copying and pasting the information and putting it into your web browser and find what's in there. And you can even get pricing if you want to check and see if the cost that you're seeing on there is what it should be. Here's a Presco light. Let's try this one. I'll do a Control C, and it's Presco light. Presco light products. INC 600. This is going to take us to the manufacturer's site. Now, believe it or not, I do this a lot in my work. So this is an incandescent can light. Downlight incorporating Prescott's patented virtual science. So that's good. And down here we have some downloads, which are always good. They're PDF, reflector capabilities, bar hangers, slope ceiling adapter, got options and accessories. Photometry, this would tell us what kind of light we're getting out of the system. We can actually import this into a three-dimensional model if we wanted to. And let's see, what was that one? Presco light. Let's just take this as our PDF file. So it gives us the actual dimensions, some of the light information, and also tells us what the, here's the housing options, gives us different information. The reflector type, reflector finish can be black, semicircular, or American matte. Reflector colors come in different colors, reflector options, and accessories. All of those things can be purchased, and here's our photometric data as to what the light, so you would need a lighting engineer to look at this information and determine if it's the right fixture. Normally the engineering offices would have somebody, or they would bring somebody in to make sure that the lighting is done correctly. So just wanted to give you an idea just how easy it is to find information by just cutting and pasting into your internet browser if something hits you that doesn't quite look right. Switch bank layout just shows how the switch banks are going to be on the wall. So this obviously does have some switches. And some more notes. Under cabinet task lighting, coordinate installation with architectural drawings. Provide a Lutron Nova dimmer, catalog number N2000, color selected by architect. Anytime you're a contractor and you have subcontractors that are working with you, they're going to submit those detail sheets and color selectors to the architect for selection. They get approved, they get sent back, everything's checked off and made sure that it's working correctly. So there's our lighting plan. And again, we didn't see any switches. Let's see if we can figure out what the A1 light was. I didn't see it here. There's an A2. Oh, this must be A1. A2 is the same as type A except connected to EM panel. EM panel is probably emergency electrical. It might be hooked to a generator so that you're always going to have light on there. So EM is probably something to do with safety or emergency information. General lighting notes. All fixtures shall be type A unless otherwise noted. Install each dimmer per manufacturer's recommendations, and everything else is there. All exit lights and fixtures shown shaded as indicated on electrical legend shall be connected to the 277 volt emergency lighting circuit. EH7-15 is required. Emergency panel located on the 7th floor. And again, we're only looking at one floor of a larger building. So let's look at the power plan now. And what this is going to show us is the furniture. So what we see here is some ceiling outlets. This is for signage. Here's an outlet for a printer. Here's an outlet for a copier. Now these are designated because they require probably more power. And these numbers indicate the circuit breaker on the panel that they're going to. So wherever the panel is, it's going to have numbers on it that relate to where these circuits are being run to. We see junction boxes. Again, I don't see the switches on here, but there's a regular normal duplex outlet that's coming off the wall, and it's circuit 26. So you may have some of these that show the same number because they're running off the same circuit. Down here we have circuit 14 going to a junction box. Junction box goes to this outlet over here, which looks like it's a grounded outlet maybe. Let's see what that cross indicates, if there's any legend. That's the server room layout. some notes. So if we don't see any symbol libraries, what would happen is the cover sheet itself would have all the symbols. And I'm almost think that they may even have one in here, this cover sheet. And A101 might be one of these. Let's just take a quick look. All right. Company logo, somebody's nice little title block. That's not it. Open. Let's try. No, these apparently are just template files. So anyway, the cover sheet of the plans would generally have a legend that shows all of these different symbols and what they mean. I recognize most of them, but some of them I just I don't understand. And these little arrows just indicate that they go back to whatever junction box they're laid out in. So on another electrical plan, there would actually be a junction box layout as to where they are. So if we look inside this one office here, we can see we have what looks like maybe a dedicated circuit here, a regular duplex outlet, another duplex outlet over here. So we have two duplex outlets and a specific outlet here that may be a dedicated circuit. So what would happen in here is if a person may lose power to this outlet, but this outlet would still be good because these are going to different electrical panels. This is on circuit 24, and these go back to panel 8, circuit 20, 22, and 24. These two outlets, or this one anyway, goes back to, there's 28. Yeah, not 24, so this will be on panel 28. So these are, we constantly get our electricians coming in and wanting to look at the plans to see if they can determine if in fact these things are on the right outlets, if they have a circuit breaker trip. We can follow these things all the way back down the line, and this one goes to panel R8, circuits 26, 28, and 30. So you can see you got a wide variety of outlets that are all running off that same panel. So if this one goes out, then this one's going to go out. This one here would still be good because that's running to a different panel. So all things that are you would get used to reading on these floor plans. But the big thing is how this is structured and layered so that you can have multiple people doing the CAD work on the same floor plan and compile it all together as multiple reference files to create one document that indicates all of this information can be looked at once. Now let's look at the plumbing plan. The plumbing plan is pretty simple actually. We've got just two bathrooms, and we've got a water heater, looks like right here, electric water heater 1. It's got a cold water supply and a hot water supply, or at least coming in. Here's our water line coming in. This is our vent stack. It's a 2-inch vent. It's 2-inch cold water coming in, 1/2-inch hot water coming out. We've got some valves here. This may be a little sink for the janitor. I'm not sure. Let's go back to our furniture plan and see what's in that room. Yeah, it looks like there's just a little, might be a water supply closet coming up in there. So you can see that this this hot water unit that they're showing is actually showing up in this cabinet, which doesn't make a lot of sense. If I got important files there, I may not want to put my hot water heater in here. So again, this stuff all goes either vents out or goes up or down. Over here, we're picking up on appears to be kind of 3/4 inch drain with air gap. This might be just a drain panel in here in this room. We've got a valve, and this is likely going into our bathroom. They don't show a lot of detail, so there may be a larger plan on here as to where this plumbing comes from. We do have down here in the bottom an isometric drawing which shows the plumbing coming in, the waste vents, the cleanouts, the traps. These little U-shapes are traps which allow sediment to settle in those traps so that it doesn't plug up the lines. So drawings can be fairly basic one-line drawings, and the plumbers are used to looking at these. This is northeast partial waste and vent isometric. This is southeast partial waste and vent isometric. So these aren't supplies of water. These are how we drain the system and how we supply air to the system so that it doesn't get locked up. If you've ever poured gas out of a gas can and had it kind of glug, glug, glug because it's sucking air through, but if you open up a hole in the back of that jug and dump it out, it flows out nice and smooth. Well, the same thing happens with ventilation in plumbing supplies. You need that air to be drawn in so it doesn't chunk up. If you see a house and it's got this white stack sticking out of the roof as a vent stack, if that happens to get plugged up with snow or ice or anything, or mice nests or birds nests, and you go to drain a sink or a washing machine or even flush a toilet and it starts to glug, get air bubbles, and it just won't go down and it just seems to be trapped even though it's cleaned out, it's probably because there's an air obstruction in that vent stack to allow things to flow easily. And you see these are kind of color coded to indicate what's waste pipe and what's vent pipe, and basically pretty basic information. Again, more plumbing equipment lists. Here they're looking for an electric water heater. This one's a new state model. Not a very big electric water here. Oh, they got a couple of them here. This one's only a 6-gallon capacity. Maybe it'll let me. Water heater. Control C. I don't know whether New State is a manufacturer. Come on. Home Depot water heater. There's a PDF file for a New State water heater. So this would give us all the information. 6 to 120 gallon water heaters gives us all the electrical information. There were times 10 or 15 years ago where this would have taken hours to come up with the information that you're looking for, and a lot of phone calls to manufacturers, and fax machines when they were first coming out were pretty busy. Now in a matter of seconds we can copy and paste to our internet browser and pull up information just like that. So let's get out of that one. I got a plus, there's a layout, nothing there. But again, we can see that this is here, and let's just take a look at this viewport. So if I was in this one and I wanted to create, and I just put this on so you could see it, if I go to my layer property manager and I want to create an electrical plan with the reference files that I have in, I can say, okay, I don't really want to see this, so I'm just going to say turn the visibility off of all my HVAC equipment. Let's turn off all my visibility for my plumbing. Let's turn off all the floor power. Let's turn off all the lighting. So I'm just left with my furniture. So that's how simple it is to just be able to create this plan with just the information that you want to see on that particular one. We can dimension it. If I put a linear dimension, I don't know what they got on this thing, but probably have to do it out on the other. Yeah, because it's going to be huge. But yeah, you could dimension this in here with it scaled down. Once this is in a viewport, again, we can go to our paper space, look at our scaling. I can say, what would that look like on this size piece of paper at 1/8 inch equals a foot? And you can see a 1/8 inch equals a foot would just give me a partial of the floor plan. So I could say, what about, well, if I go to 1/16 inch of foot, even on this size paper. If I right click on this and go to my page setup manager, and I look at this layout, which is what I'm in right now, and go to modify this, it's on a letter size sheet of paper. So everything else was on E size. So let me go to an E size sheet, which is 44 inches by 34 inches. We'll change this to our standard DWG. We'll put a pen table in here, our monochrome STB, and we'll say OK and close. Now you can see my viewport is really small, so if I want to make this viewport much larger and I want to scale this up to 1/8 inch equals a foot, go to my model space, there's 1/8 inch, pull it up, and now I've got a larger size sheet of paper that I can put in here. If I go back to my paper size, I can grab this viewport and kind of pull the bottom up on it so it hides the other part of that layout. And again, if I want to just show the heating system on top of this, I can actually pull this on and right click and say turn it on, and we can start to look at where we may end up with some conflicts, maybe some areas we want to look at. So being able to turn those layers on and off and look for those conflicts on the drawings and paper is extremely important. So this is an area of layering possibilities that you need to think about, that not everything needs to be done in one drawing. It can be done in multiple locations and all compiled into one document later on. So this ends up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, actually 7 different sheets, all from the same base drawing. And that's the beauty and the efficiency of the CAD system to make things work like this. So just something to think about when we're thinking about layers. We're going to keep it pretty simple ourselves, but I wanted you to be aware of just how powerful these XREF files are, and you can actually XREF multiple files together. If we look at our Chapter 10 section, I'm going to tell you what we're going to be doing in lab this week if you want to kind of get primed for it a little bit. Chapter 10, the land survey. We are going to be drawing on an 11 by 17 title block, which we'll make in the lab. The land survey shown on page 465. It is lot 15. We're going to be drawing that figure 10-11D, 1 mile by 1 mile square, so we're going to have to think hard about our scaling. And then we're going to add in that lot the layout for 10.12.1, which is, or excuse me, figure 10-12A, which is the small lot that's 151 feet 2.4 inches long, 74 feet 6.7 inches wide, and it comes off for 212.71 feet from the top corner. So it's actually setting right on the top if you're looking at those features. So we're going to be working with changing our angle configuration a little bit, working with angles in survey meters. So rather than an angle of, say, 95 degrees or 90 degrees, it's going to be north 89 degrees, 55 minutes, 0 seconds west. And we're going to be able to key that information in and redraw that layout just the way it's shown. So that will be our lab this week, creating a double, it'll end up being a double view window. So we'll highlight where that lot shows up, and we'll give an exploded view of it on the same sheet on 11 by 17. So kind of keep that in mind, and we will start working on that on Monday. I'm not sure if we'll get all the way through it, but at the very least we're going to create 11 by 17 title block from our existing title block, and we're going to start working on these land layouts. Read through Chapter 10 if you would please, and look at some of those dimensioning items, and we will hit it hard and hope for no more snow for a while. And I would read through chapter 10 from page 447 at least to 469, 468 anyway, and then we're going to work on that other site plan the week after. I think we're going to lay out that site plan, so we can do that, and then we'll get into some topographical information, which will be kind of fun. Okay, that should do me for today. Thanks.